The City of Ohio State podcast takes a deep dive into the support services that keep OSU's Columbus campus running 24/7. Hear from industry experts in facilities, safety, transportation, and more. The City of Ohio State podcast is brought to you by the Office of Administration and Planning.
Hello and welcome to the City of Ohio State podcast. I'm Brooke McKivergan. Last month, we heard from Uniprint and learned about all of the services they offer all across campus. This month, we're hearing from someone we've never had on the podcast before. Ragan Fallang is the Facilities Design and Construction Executive Project Manager for the Wexner Medical Center Inpatient Hospital. Ragan, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
For listeners who may not be familiar, the Inpatient Hospital is the largest single facilities project in Ohio State's history. It is 1.9 million square feet and years in the making. With construction being on track for a 2026 opening, what's it been like to manage a project of this size and scope from start to now almost finish?
Well, it's been a great experience. This is such a great project to be part of, and Ohio State and the Wexner Medical Center are such great organizations to participate with. It's amazing to think back that John Stiles really kicked this project off clear back in 2016, 2017, and here we are looking down the schedule at the finish line. We have such wonderful leadership, and it's been great working with them, and an incredible team that we have from FDC, Randy Wheaton, Larry Yinger on the interiors and MEP parts of the project, Natalie Jordan working on all the renovation, and Isaiah and Tanner are a couple of our younger folks who started with us as student interns and are now full project managers helping us finish up the project. So it's exciting to be parts of things like that. From my involvement, we were looking at putting shovels in the ground back in September of 2020. We still had the parking garage project that we were finishing up, and we're trying to build the new tower next to the existing parking garages until we could get them finished and start demolition. So amazing to think back to how much has changed in that amount of time. The most surreal moment for me was about 2 years ago, getting to the top roof and looking down on the James Cancer Hospital. It was about 140 feet above that project that at the time when we had built it felt so huge, and here we are, on a project that's so much bigger than that.
And there are hundreds of tradespeople coming through the turnstiles every day, from builders to designers to university leaders and clinicians. So how do you coordinate across so many teams to keep construction on track? That can't be easy.
Yeah, that's a huge challenge, and I think the most important part is that it's really a team effort, and we have a great team with our partners from Walsh Turner Joint Venture, who've been the construction management firm, and they oversee about 150 trade partners, so different types of contractors, from electricians to painters and everything, as well as our partners from HDR and BR+A who lead the design effort. We really have stayed focused on trying to find the right leaders for those groups and making sure individuals are doing their part to pull the whole project forward. And that's really key to it, is having all the right people and each person having responsibility for their aspect of it. So we spent a lot of time actually vetting some of the key leads and asked our partners to vet the leads of the teams that were working for them. The other piece of it was really focusing on timely and what I'll call sticky decision making. So there's so many decisions to make on a project like this, large and small, and it's really important to keep those moving so that the progress can keep along. And when I say sticky decision making, it's really easy on particularly a large, long schedule project to go back and revisit all sorts of things. And so it was important to have decisions that were vetted by the right teams, and so we didn't have to go backwards and relook at those a lot of times. And that's been huge. We have a great team of leaders, as I've mentioned, and from both the university and the medical center side, and some key meetings with those groups to keep them informed and get the direction from them so that we can always keep things moving forward and not looking back.
And I've had the privilege of getting to tour the site for the last couple of years now. I've seen some really innovative features being integrated into the new tower, from robots that can help deliver sterile equipment to surgical booms that'll allow healthcare workers to physically turn a patient's bed and all of their equipment easily to allow them to look out these massive patient room windows. I'm sure it's not easy to single out just one or two. Could you talk about one of your favorite features, though?
Sure. Yeah, it's hard to pick one. There's so many neat things. I think the digital footwall is such an amazing innovation, and all the integrations that it has. So we don't just talk about having a TV in the patient room. We call it a digital footwall because it does so much more. And that's a large screen. some of the really neat features is it connects with a program called Care AI that has artificial intelligence, and it will watch for a fall before it happens. And so it can notify nursing staff if a patient is starting to get out of their bed who's not supposed to, and those sort of things. So that kind of cutting edge technology is really exciting to see, as well as the integration with the real-time locating system. So we call it RTLS. And it tags everything from beds and equipment to monitor where they are on the building, but the staff will also be connected with that. And what that'll mean for the patients and families is that as the care team comes in and out of the room, it will actually bring up on that screen who's entered the room and what their role is. And having spent only a small amount of time in hospitals, but as my children were born, being there and having lots of different folks come in and out, I think that's such a comforting thing for, again, the patient and the family as well, to know that the person who's entered your room is here for this function and this is their name. And I just think that'll really be a neat feature for them. The other really exciting one for me is the Level 2 terrace. It's an outdoor space connected to the main cafeteria and dining room. And there's a seating area in front of Rhodes Hall, but the drop-off roads circulate around it. It's got large buildings on all three sides. And so I think it just doesn't have the same environment. This space is up on the second floor. It overlooks the green space west of Cannon Drive and out to the river. And I think it'll just be a really neat, calming experience for everyone, from patients and families, but also the staff, to get out and have lunch on a nice day, or just get out and walk on that space and sort of get out of the noise of everything. So that's a really exciting piece as well. I guess one more thing to kind of talk a little bit about is also just the attention to all the little details. And our team, the design team, the project team, our internal team, have focused so hard on that. And there's a lot of little things that I won't go into each of them, but some things like just little subtle features, like some red lines in the floors that tie in our scarlet color, blockos strategically placed, I think just really help to make the entire building feel like such an exciting experience. And then there's a few more not ready to probably talk about just yet, but some neat pieces we're still working on development on that'll be some of those final touches that hopefully all your listeners will tune into the Building the Future website and keep watching for updates that our AMP team has continued to put out as we finalize some of those.
Yeah, I think once people are able to see the finished product, I mean, it's important to note that every single detail, so much thought has been put into everything from lighting fixtures to paint colors to art installations. Like every time I'm in there, you're telling me about a new piece that so many conversations have been had to decide. So once this is open, how do you envision this hospital transforming patient care, not only here in Columbus, but really the entire state of Ohio?
Well, it's amazing to think back that the existing facilities have served the medical center so well, but the core of Doane Hall is 75 years old. It was opened in the early 50s, and really just so much has changed in healthcare over that amount of time. And so it's just a time period where they need better facilities for the level of clinical care they're providing for the patients. So that'll be really, I think, a nice experience, as well as the staff who live in those spaces. But the other aspect will be continued growth for the Wexner Medical Center to expand their mission to serve all of Ohioans. I'm always amazed when I hear Dr. Thomas talk about a third of our patients come from outside of Central Ohio, outside of Franklin County or the contiguous counties. And that's really about the level of support that Wexner Medical Center can provide in particularly tertiary and quaternary care, the higher levels that a lot of the underserved communities around Ohio aren't able to provide. So it's nice to see that this facility will be able to partner and help in that way, covering all 88 counties of Ohio.
Has anything surprised you during this process, either a major challenge or an unexpected breakthrough?
It's a little cliche to talk about, but the scale is always the one I go to. It's just such a huge project, and I was fortunate enough to get to work on the James Cancer Hospital about 10 years ago. And that was $1 billion project. It was a mega project and felt very large. And so coming into this, I think I had the mindset that this would be a lot like that, a little bit different. But it feels like more than twice the project. It's just the complication as you continue to grow just gets more and more real with trying to keep all the communications together and everybody on the same page, moving the same direction. Our turnover process started over a year. It will be over a year ago. It started in October. And will continue into this fall. And that's just such a crazy thing to think about, going through trying to continue to turn over floors for that long of a time.
And speaking of turning over, people see the exterior of the tower, one of the photos from the inside of the building of a space that's already being furnished, and they're like, why isn't this opening right now? So could you talk about how your team tackles work on each floor separately? Every floor looks completely different.
Yeah, that's a great question, and we hear that a lot, that as the building on the outside looks ready, why are we not there? We had to work the inside of the building from the bottom up. At peak, we had 1,200 workers in the building. We still have about 600 every day working on trying to wrap up this great project. And so we still have 4 patient care floors ahead of us, as well as the roof and the outside, some things like that, just to put finishing touches on. So it is making a lot of progress, but it takes time to go through each of those spaces and get them finished. My focus remains on the physical facility. My colleague Karen Sharp is focused on the activation scope, and I think that's the other part to think about, is that it's more than just the building. It really is all the operations, the people, the processes, the workflows, and so they're working diligently with a team preparing for that aspect of it. Which will be a monumental task, training thousands of staff to be ready to start providing clinical care in this facility, stocking all the supplies, and introducing the facility really to the community. So a lot of events that will come up early next year.
And for any listeners who are interested in seeing the photos or watching the construction progress from start to where we're at right now, we have photos all along this project. It's on buildingthefuture.osu.edu. Ragan, thank you so much for giving us some insight into this expansive project. I know this space will change lives, and I can't wait to continue to watch the progress your team is making.
Thank you, Brooke.
The City of Ohio State podcast is brought to you by the Office of Administration Planning. Until next time, be kind and go Bucks.